Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to SF Live. I'm your host, Myrna Lim. We had promised to make this show, SF Live, to be as exciting as we possibly can. In this season, we'd like to kind of mix things up, not just to talk about social issues or politics in San Francisco or the state or in the nation, but rather have culture, have art, as long as they do mean something, and for us to remember and to know that art and culture can be powerful tools to share certain messages, to get certain issues across. And tonight we're doing exactly that. We have a delightful woman, her name is Nyna Caputi, who is producing a documentary regarding the missing daughters of India. And let's have her explain to you guys what that means. But basically, we will be showing to you tonight a trailer that she has co-produced with her husband. And they are raising money to put together a whole production, a whole documentary. And I could see why. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Nyna Caputi. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you so much, Myrna, for having me on this show. I really want to create a lot of awareness about this, so I really appreciate you inviting me today. So thank you so much.
Well, it's a pleasure. So let's talk about what got you interested on this film. Your documentary is called Petals in the Dust, The Missing Daughters of India.
Actually, it's Petals in the Dust, India's Missing Girls. I know it's a long name, so I don't blame you for getting a little confused.
Oh yeah, start singing. India's Missing Girls. Good. Okay, so tell me, how did you come up with this idea of producing a documentary, and then give us a sort of a background. Why Petals in the Dust?
Sure. So basically, my husband and I were looking to adopt a baby girl from India about 2.5 years ago, and we contacted a few agencies, and they told us that the wait would be really long for a baby girl, and I assumed that there would be girls available for adoption. And when I dug a little bit deeper into it, I came up with, when I googled it and adoption in India and girls, and then all these topics on female feticide and infanticide came up, and I was really shocked because I just came to the US 8 years ago, so the rest of the time I've been in India, and somewhere in the back of my head I knew there were these things happening, but I never really paid too much attention. So when I read about, that actually 50 million girls have been eliminated from India's population in the last century. 50 million, and that's a huge number. It's not just girls, but women as well. And I felt I really needed to do something about this. As an Indian woman, even if I live in the US, I really need to create awareness. And my husband's a filmmaker. I've dabbled a little bit in film, and that's why we decided we need to do this documentary film.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about the missing girls. You're saying 50 million.
Right.
They're killed. Explain to us, because most people, when we talk about girls, daughters, babies being killed, what comes to mind is what's happening in China. And that's been out there for a long time. But with India, is not quite the same way. Typically, when we think about India, as far as women's plight are concerned, there's the issue of the dowry. I guess American men would like that, but it's very oppressive. I mean, the fact that if you're from a poor family and you have a daughter, then you're looking at, oh my God, there's that. So try to clarify that for us,
sure.
Please.
And it doesn't. So first of all, I want to clarify that it doesn't just happen among the poor. It also happens among the rich, the educated, the wealthy. So basically, there are several ways that women have been and girls have been eliminated. One is female feticide, and this is basically what they call a sex-selective abortion. So when a woman knows, or when a family wants a son, and then they find that the the woman is pregnant and they go to the doctor and they do an ultrasound and they find it's a girl, they decide to get rid of the baby because they only want a son. So that's one of the reasons girls are being eliminated. The other is infanticide. So those who can't afford to get an ultrasound done, and can't find out the sex, and they can't afford sex selective abortion, they will wait till the baby girl's born. I mean, the baby's born, and because they're not sure is it a boy or a girl. And if the baby's a girl, they may either drown the baby or stuff rice husk down their throat or abandon the baby. So this is female infanticide. And then, of course, you have dowry deaths, which again doesn't happen just among the poor. It also happens among the rich, where when a woman gets married, in some communities she's expected to take, jewelry, cash, consumer goods to her husband's home.
Right.
And when she's not able to deliver or produce the amounts that they want, sometimes either they're abandoned, or in the worst cases, they're killed, they're set on fire. So that's the dowry debt. And then, of course, you have neglect, baby girls dying from neglect. So when people have a daughter and a son, and, especially, this is more among the poor families, the sons will be given like the best food, and the daughters will just be given the leftovers.
Mm-hmm.
And this, especially among girls 5 and under, very often neglect with their health care, neglect with their food, leads to them being, to them getting very sick sometimes and dying.
Right.
So this is another reason why or how girls are being eliminated from the population.
Well, it kind of doesn't make any sense to have such a difficult time adopting babies when they're being killed. That doesn't make any sense, right?
Right, and adoption is still pretty new in India. I'm happy to say now a lot of families living in India are going in for adoption. So domestic adoptions has increased. Like in the past, people, because of the caste system, religion, people were kind of, a little wary about adopting because they felt, I'm like one caste, and what if the baby's of another caste, or I have this religion, what if the baby's, comes from a family that has another religion. But that's changing. So there is some amount of adoption happening, but not enough, and there's not enough awareness created about the option of adoption. So there are many families, especially among the poorer communities, where they have the baby girl's born, and then they're resorting to all these terrible criminal ways of getting rid of the girl, instead of giving her life and giving her up for adoption. So I'm hoping through the film to also touch upon this, because we do hope to show the film all over India and have it translated into regional languages, so people even in smaller towns and villages can see this. And they can hear firsthand how adoption is a good thing, and there are families waiting there who will really take care of their daughters and really bring their daughters up as good citizens. And so
I was I was in Egypt, and we visited some orphanages while we were in Egypt, and I was talking to some of the people there, and he says, well, I mean, these are beautiful babies, why can't they get adopted? And they said it's illegal to adopt babies in Egypt, and yet at the same time you have orphanages full of children, and you have a lot of kids out on the streets. It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make, in India it's different though, because in India adoption is legal, and they are encouraging adoption, but it's not reaching into many of the rural areas, and even in the urban areas among the poorer communities. It's still and also I think people are still hesitant about giving their baby up for adoption, because it's considered, they'd rather kill their daughter than give the baby up for adoption, because that's considered, who knows which family my daughter will go into, so people need to be educated. Families who can't afford to bring their girls up and who don't want to bring their daughters up need to be encouraged to give them up for adoption, so there needs to be a lot more focus.
Let's take a look at your film.
Sure.
And